It's that time of the week. It's Victory Monday, and it's time to break down the tape. And we had some fun tape to break down because we got Perfect Purdy in the mix. Oh, good stuff, man. I'm excited for this film breakdown. We got a lot of good stuff today. Excited to report that I'm actually impressed with the 49ers offensive line play for the most part. Well, they weren't perfect on the day, but it's not about being perfect. It's about body of work. It's about overall body of work, not individual plays in a vacuum or individual mistakes in a vacuum. It's how you can put together a big body of work. And the boys up front, okay. So we're gonna look at everyone: Kittle, Purdy, Aiyuk, Debo, CMC, even Elijah Mitchell had a couple nice runs in this game against the Bucs. So you already know what we're gonna do. We're gonna break it down. We're gonna have some fun watching it. So grab a beverage, grab whatever you need, grab some snacks, grab some popcorn. Let's watch Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers offense do some work. Do some work. Let's do it. You already know the vibes. Smash that like button. Drop a SDS in the chat. Let's have a quality Victory Monday breakdown. Let's go. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. I hope all of you guys are having a phenomenal Victory Monday. Just walking into work, kind of sticking your chest out a little bit more. Hopefully, you had some good bragging, maybe with some coworkers that been ribbing you over these last couple weeks. But man, great time to be a San Francisco 49er fan because these boys, there's still another gear that they can obtain, but that's scary for the NFL. If this team can continue to perform at this level, obviously we're watching the offense today, we'll do defense tomorrow. But if they continue to perform at this level, we're going to be a problem. And that's what I love to see. But first of all, got to shout out the SDS. What's good, gang? Good to see everybody in the chat. Really excited to get into this one. Purdy haters, MIA. They go, bro, it's like peaks and valleys with them. They go dormant, and then, second the opportunity strikes, they pop out. But Purdy puts them to sleep really quickly. So we're going to get into the tape, man. Just wanted to shout out the SDS. Hopefully you guys are having a phenomenal Victory Monday as we get ready to get into all this goodness. Brock has played a full season worth of games. The picture is becoming clear of exactly who he is. Kid is a baller. He's the truth. Tell him, Callie. Mr. Never Miss says, I look forward to these lives with all of you and Brad. Let's go. Mr. Never Miss, love the name because you didn't miss. So let's get into it, shall we? Enough chit chat. I know everyone is going to be watching a certain game today. We're going to be watching Chiefs versus Eagles. So I want to make sure we get through this. We have enough time to transition very smoothly into Chiefs versus Eagles because obviously we are all, I would say maybe a couple years ago this wouldn't be the case, but we are 100% rooting for the Chiefs. Not even a question about that. Go Chiefs, go, whatever their slogan or motto is. I don't even know, but I'm a Swiftie tonight, baby. Let's go knock those birds down, as we get ready for a bird gauntlet of our own. But let's get into the tape. Let's do what we do. Let's get into the tape. I agree. I agree. I'm a Swiftie tonight. But the magic starts, the Brock Purdy magic. Let's get everything all situated, squared up, get organized. I'm going to say second play. So this is Brock Purdy's first throw of the game. Situationally, second and 11. So, one of the things we talked about with this team, well, man, we don't want to get behind the sticks. We want to find ourselves in second and manageable. And Brock Purdy says, second and manageable. Who cares about that when I'm out here cooking? Look at this dot. Start calling him Dot Purdy, man. This is such a good throw. And I'm going to show you from this back angle of like how just Purdy this thing is. I posted this one on Twitter earlier. You may have seen it. But I mean, his ability. So you're going to get, I think that's Kalijah Cansey working across Feliciano. Feliciano's trying to wall him off as best he can. Like Purdy knows, we've done enough tape study to know that this ball placement right here, that feels intentional. He is constantly throwing around and over hands in the passing lane. Look at that margin of error. And then sails this thing over Levante David, who's one of the most athletic linebackers in the NFL, and just drops it right into the bucket. Take a look at this angle again. Kittle just really widens this thing out and then angles inside right between the safety and the linebacker. Kind of a galaxy brain move by Feliciano to push on the hand and the arm and elbow of Cansey, and that could have been enough. Could have been the difference in getting this ball. I mean, Dot Purdy at your service. And spoiler alert, this isn't the only dot that we get. We get multiple dots from Brock Purdy because at this particular point, that's just who he is. That's just who he is. I wanted to give a little shout out to CMC on this particular one. Just really good catch. Really good catch. This is a difficult catch. Might not like show up on the stat sheet as anything crazy. Obviously, you're going to see Kalijah Cansey getting some penetration, but Spencer Burford does a good job of riding him out of the pocket enough to allow Purdy to make something shake, even though he does have a blitzer coming free. And look at that extension. Like, that's a difficult catch. A little underrated action, but that was a good catch. CMC's legendary. CMC's legendary. I had someone on Twitter trying to argue with me and tell me that Christian McCaffrey is one of the worst pass blockers in the NFL. It's amazing. It's amazing what people will say based on pulling a PFF grade. But Dot Purdy back at it again. So I think when I'm looking at Debo and Aiyuk's route, it feels like White was anticipating Aiyuk to be the in-breaking route and Debo to run maybe like a post corner. So it doesn't look like he's at all prepared for Debo to break this off to the inside. But as soon as he does, puts it right on him. Play action up front. I mean, you talk about zip. That ball comes out on a line. That is a laser. Absolute laser by Brock Purdy. He makes this stuff look so easy. It's not supposed to be this easy. It's actually supposed to be somewhat challenging. It's supposed to be the hardest position in all of football. But he does a really good job of making the small things look effortless. On this play, I would say there's 2 penalties that didn't get called. So you're gonna have one defender falling at his feet. That's penalty 1, and then penalty 2 is George Kittle getting absolutely mugged at the point of attack. So interesting in a league that seems to want to protect quarterbacks. If defenders are just going to sneeze on them, you got one guy falling at his legs, which that's the Tom Brady rule, right? So surprised that they didn't call that for tackling below the knee. And then he puts it on the money still, but they can't actually complete the pass because, as you can see, you've got a hand on Kittle's left hip. Then this guy's just draped all over Kittle's. Obviously I was at the game and they were showing this replay and the crowd was freaking out. The biggest boos of the day came on this play because that was definitely pass interference on that play. I talked about the running game a little bit. Here's an example of the inside zone working pretty well. So this is going to work really well. I mean, if you look across the board, everyone's going to take their zone right steps up front. And look at that hole that's created right here. So let's go with Trent, Feliciano, Brendel. Trent's responsibility is to hook this and cut this off. He does it. He does it with his signature backside move where he comes across with a left-handed chop. A lot of times we've seen him get people on the ground. He's able to get that turned, and then you look at Feliciano and Brendel. Feliciano gets the second level. Brendel's able to engage on his block, and look at the lane that is created by this. Diaby's still able to get a tackle, but that's what I want to see. I want to see the inside zone back. I want to see the zone cooking again with this 49ers offensive line. Like I said, I thought the 49ers offensive line, they weren't perfect, but I mean, this might have been Spencer Burford's best game of the year. Might have been Spencer Burford's best game of his career. Even though he wasn't perfect, I think he gave up a sack on this in this game, but I thought he played really well. So I'm going to give Spencer Burford some credit. I think he made the decision to move Feliciano over to right guard and take over that starting spot if Banks comes back a little bit harder. A little bit harder. I would say Burford had a good day today. We got a super chat. Thoughts on Feliciano? Did he stack good games? There was a lot of hype surrounding him after the Jags. Yeah, he stacked good games. I think he's really helped this offensive line with his consistency. He just plays so consistently well. He does his job, and that is such an underrated aspect of playing O-line. When I look at sacks like this, I think the majority of the sacks were coverage sacks. Like, this is a coverage sack. I think this goes down as a sack officially. This is coverage. I thought in real time that Brock Purdy had a shot to get this to Brandon Aiyuk, but he didn't get it out, and he looked like he was trying to just flush out of the pocket, step up, and get what he could. Definitely thought he had an op to get it to Aiyuk. But like I said, that's a coverage sack more than anything else. They actually protect it pretty well for the most part, but Purdy just dipped out. This next play, I wanted to because the one of the reasons I was talking about Christian McCaffrey staying on the field all the time was because I called him an A plus uh, pass blocker, and someone showed me this PFF grade that showed him as the worst graded pass blocking running back in the NFL, which I thought was laughable because obviously you guys know we watch all the tape, and one of the things that stands out consistently week in, week out is plays like this where Christian McCaffrey is either picking up blitzes, he's a crucial piece in the protection. They have him doing some pretty complicated stuff. Like he's got the mic, so he's got 45. He has to come across the formation because they're going full slide left with the offensive line, which means that anyone who comes off the edge is Christian's guy. But you still kind of have to go A gap to outside. So that's why you see him being patient, patient, patient as he works his way out. He engages, and then you try to get a counter inside spin. And look at CMC, man. Like he's out here making offensive linemen happy. Giving Brock all the time in the world to throw. Brock goes through all his reads. Watch him go through all his reads. Nope. Nope. All right. I'm going to go Kittle. And a lot of that has to do with having a running back like Christian McCaffrey, who Devin White is a very good middle linebacker. And to be able to lock him up like that, that's huge. And he shows up on tape like this every week. That's why the fact that someone's like, oh, he's the worst graded running back in pass blocking in the league, according to PFF. I'm like, bro, just watch the tape. Like, CMC is one of the best pass blocking running backs in this league, and it's not up for a debate. You can show me whatever grades you want. The tape does not lie. The tape, I don't care about grades, man. Show me the tape. Because I'll show you the tape. I'll Uno reverse card you. You show me a grade, I'll show you a clip. Show me as many grades as you want, and I'll show you as many clips as I want. But as we know, CMC is just an all-around back because he's also a threat out of the backfield. That's why he doesn't leave the field. He's an A-plus pass blocker. He's probably the one of the best, if not the best, threats to catch the ball out of the backfield, and he's an elite runner. So I know there was a debate about why we're not seeing the backup running backs, but it's like, man, you have an elite running back, and he's elite in every phase of the game. So guys like that just don't come off the field. This was a really good setup by the boys up front. It gets negated by a Brandon Aiyuk holding penalty, but I believe you're going to get Spencer Burford pulling right here. He's going to get a nice kick out, and then CMC is just able to glide through the line. He does such a good job. Great down blocks by Trent, Feliciano, Brendel. They create a wall of man meat, and then you're going to get Burford kicking out 7, Kittle pulling up, and then Kittle and Warner make great blocks. And Aiyuk gets caught up right here with a little jersey tug. But that was great blocking up front. You can see how the play came together. They had that thing blocked up really well with the front 7. Just got a little bit of cloth on Brandon Aiyuk, but I will forgive him. I forgive Brandon on that one because Brandon definitely made up for it. That is for sure. This one didn't count because this also was a penalty for defensive holding, but this was a dime. Like, this was a shot down the left sideline to Brandon Aiyuk from Brock Purdy, and it was a dime. It just wasn't able to be completed, but man, if you've really spent a lot of time critiquing Brock Purdy's arm talent, he's just continuously proving you wrong because this is arm talent. He puts this thing pretty much in the only spot where Brandon can get it, and I don't think he can fully get his other hand on it because the defender's holding him, and that also impeded Ayuk from gaining the separation he needed. But look at where the ball went. It still hit Ayuk right in the hands. Um, that's just that doesn't look like a strenuous throw in the slightest. I think one of the biggest things that you can point to with Brock Purdy is that when we were having conversations as he throws an absolute laser over the middle to Brandon Ayuk, one of the conversations we were having against, when he played, was it week 2 against the Rams, and he had a couple missed overthrows, and people started to freak out because there was already the narrative that Brock Purdy has a weak arm. He doesn't have good arm talent. He doesn't have arm strength. And so he missed those overthrows, right? Overthrows in that Rams game, and people were losing it. And remember, I compared it to like trying to hit the center cup in beer pong. You might not hit, you might hit front lip, back lip. You're just kind of finding your placement. It feels like Brock Purdy has found his placement with his deep ball. He can make the throw. And that was the same thing that we saw in training camp. Is he can make the throw where he was trying to fine tune his deep ball was placement and timing. That's really all it was. It was never a concern with can he get it there, at least from what I saw in training camp. It was all about just timing and accuracy. And from what I've seen these last couple weeks, Brock has really, really dialed that in. I mean, he is playing some confident football these last 2 weeks. I mean, these throws are automatic for him. These 10 to 15-yard throws on in-breaking routes are automatic. The ball placement, whether it's between a layered defender, whether it's throwing it into a hole in the zone, whether it's beating man, he has an answer. Whether it's throwing over a defensive lineman, he has an answer for these throws over the middle. Like um, we thought that Jimmy Garoppolo was pretty darn good over the middle, outside, some of the not so good throws. But dude, Brock's cooking, man. It's a great run by CMC to bounce us out as well. Purdy is now the NFL leader in big time throw rate and the best quarterback in the NFL on 20 plus yard attempts. Yeah, I think he leads the league in yards per attempt, which is pretty hilarious considering a lot of the debates that raged in the offseason. But again, look at the boys. All right, let's look at the O-line. So we are going to get I don't know, this is I would say a counter concept because they're using juice as part of the counter pullers. You're going to get Feliciano, who's going to try to pull up, and you can see juice goes on to the inside, which is where they want to go with this. But because it is completely muddy, CMC just bounces this thing out. And that's just a great individual effort to turn, some running backs would just hit that crease, go head up with 8 in that hole and plow forward for maybe 2 yards. But CMC just like he levitates. Like, look at his feet. See how he just kind of levitates and then plants and goes? That's crazy, man. He's so good. He's so good. 49ers, man, it's still wild to me that they were able to trade for Christian McCaffrey because he has made such a difference. This is a great blocking up front. Again, lot more power scheme with the 49ers up front. Again, another counter concept that we just saw. You're going to get the kick out from Feliciano. Charlie Warner's going to come underneath. He's going to get the block. You're going to get McKivitz, Burford, and Brendel blocking down. Now, I love this block by Spencer Burford because Spencer Burford is keyed on the linebacker. And because he peels off this block at the perfect time, he's able to block Devin White, and CMC's able to get probably about 5 extra yards just solely because Spencer Burford is able to identify Devin White coming across, peeling. It's a great job by Spencer Burford. Again, this is probably Spencer Burford's definitely his best game of the year. And wasn't perfect, but it definitely has to be one of his best games of the year. I mean, look at that timing to peel. CMC fits in right beneath. That's an extra 5 yards because Spencer Burford got to linebacker, which is his job on that play. But it wasn't an easy one. It was definitely difficult to get to backer in that scenario. So kudos to Spencer Burford. On this one, I love the play design on this one. Cap, I see you. I'm going to get to you in a second. I don't think I've seen this from Kyle Shanahan this year. You know, I mean, you guys have been rocking with me on these film breakdowns. Do you remember? I went back into my memory and I was like, I don't remember watching a running back run straight through the offensive line into a route. Like either that, because typically the thought process is it's muddy, you can get totally caught up in there. But I've never seen this I've just never seen it. I was like, oh, like look at the timing of that from Christian McCaffrey to basically just bang that A gap, bang. What timing that is. That's crazy. So great play design. That's an intuitive, like that's what's the word? Intuitive, ingenuitive. That's a creative play call. The whole process of it, having your running back go through the offensive line, definitely never something I've never seen that from Kyle. In the last couple years, I've been watching and breaking down his film. I've never seen that before. So, I mean, talk about breaking it out at the right time. You know, it's the simple kind of motion out. So you kind of like get White moving the wrong direction, and then he just slants through the offensive line. Like that's great. Look, White had no shot. Now, what I want you guys to keep an eye on is when they do this next. When we see this type of formation, you got Christian McCaffrey to the left of Purdy, and we get this little motion out. What are the things you can now run off of this? What are the things you could maybe try to catch a team, you know, trying to look up this for the next time around? That's going to be interesting. I'm gonna keep my eye on to see if Shanahan somehow spins that off into something else, definitely feels like you could get creative with that look. And then we get Elijah Mitchell. We get a couple runs, but this was a good run from Eli. I mean, not bad. Not bad. That should help Eli's yards per carry. So maybe that will make people a little bit more happy with Shanahan's choice to go with Elijah Mitchell over Jordan Mason. I would love to see Jordan Mason though, but it is good to see Elijah have some success and get some good yardage. I want to particularly highlight BA on this play. So we're going to highlight a couple guys, but so you're going to get Charlie Warner in motion, full speed, lead blocker. You're going to get double to backer with Burford and McKivitz. Kittle's head up, and they're going to do that like combo block that they do on I don't know what this is called. I don't know if this is the Zorro concept, but they pull into a double and then the puller peels. But look at Aiyuk get just enough of Levante David. Aiyuk gets just enough. And that is the difference from Levante potentially making a play in the backfield and Elijah getting a nice play. And we get a Aiyuk headstand. Look at that. What can't this guy do? Do a little headstand action, a little a little break dance. Someone drop a beat. Not bad. I mean, when the blocking concepts work like this is when the 49ers are at their best. Because you're going to start to see this Buccaneers defense just start to sell out on the run game. They just start biting on everything. But we got more Brock Purdy coming up. Got another run here from Eli. You can see big Jonathan Feliciano on Vita Vea downfield. Feliciano's played pretty well. Definitely played like a starter. So it's going to be interesting to see once they get healthy up front what the 49ers ultimately do. But it's a good problem to have. Purdy using his legs, getting free. Didn't like what he sees. Gets the yards. All right. Brock Purdy alert. Brock Purdy alert. Oh, I missed Cap. I just realized that. This throw is nasty. Watch this angle first. Right here. Watch this surgical precision. Play action. Turn your back to the defense. Dart over two linebackers. Man, these are two of the most athletic linebackers not named Fred Warner. Levante David and Devin White are phenomenal athletes. And Purdy just does not care. Oh, you're in my passing lane? I do not care. I'm going to dot up Brandon Aiyuk real quick. Wake up, honey. Brock Purdy dart. Bang. Like, come on, man. This is not an easy throw. That's the problem. Is Brock makes it look easy. This is difficult. I talk about it all the time. Play action is a learned skill. Being able to have the wherewithal to understand what the defense is doing pre-snap so that you can turn your back to the defense, not look at them, sell the hell out of run fake, flip your head around, reset, re-identify what is going on with the defense. Like, keep in mind, both the middle linebackers are showing what appears to be a they bit on that run fake. So they are crashing. And then they instantly see, oh crap, it's a pass. So they drop. Purdy has to identify this, read this in real time, understand the depth of where his route is coming, and then just deliver a perfectly layered throw overneath the linebacker, in between the safety, right on Brandon Ayuk's face mask. What a dot. Like, tape doesn't lie. I'm not surprised by this anymore. Like, to me, this is like the expectation, but I also have to continue to reiterate that this is very difficult. That's a difficult throw. It's not an easy throw by any stretch of the imagination. So Purdy looking pretty good. Purdy good. Purdy perfect. This one I really liked Spencer Burford. One of the things you're taught as an offensive lineman is to punish jumpers. If defensive linemen are going to leave their feet, boy, you better make them pay. And that's exactly what Spencer Burford does. So as you can see, Cansey's going to leave his feet because he's going to try to jump up and he's going to try to knock this ball down. Burford just plants him on his back. Love it. Punish jumpers, plant him on his back. Easy money. And Brock gets the ball right to Debo. And then we're going to turn this into another big gain to Brandon Aiyuk. Man, obviously there's going to be a much broader discussion regarding Brandon Aiyuk in the offseason and about contracts and all that type of stuff. But what I can tell you is he is making money. And I am concerned. I know money might be an issue, so we're going to have to figure out what the 49ers are going to do. But there's no question in my mind that Brock Purdy benefits from having a prototypical style wide receiver one. Like, Debo Samuel isn't your prototypical wide receiver one. He's never been your prototypical wide receiver one. He's like an offensive weapon, and he works best kind of around the line of scrimmage or short to intermediate. But Aiyuk is like kind of your prototypical one. He's going to run all your deep routes. He's going to run your deep intermediates. Him and Brock just have this connection. And again, we saw it in training camp. We saw it this year. Just darted him up. He's got big Vita Vea at his feet and has to adjust his throwing motion and still puts it on a dime. Like, there's not enough credit here for Brock having to maneuver through pressure and still throwing a dime. And then Brandon Aiyuk just gets loose. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Aiyuk, but there's no other wide receiver on the 49ers like Brandon Aiyuk, and boy, does Brock Purdy know how to utilize a wide receiver with Brandon Ayuk's skill set. That's one thing that, again, I really try not to compare to Jimmy Garoppolo. It's just what our recency bias kind of like that's our go-to for comparison because that was the last thing that we saw and it wasn't a good fit. Jimmy's skill set, Ayuk's skill set, they didn't align. So it resulted in Brandon Ayuk not getting the ball a ton, um, not getting targeted on deep routes. We could see him frustrated at times, but I don't know. Him and Purdy seem to have a very, very good quality chemistry. And then one of the awesome things about being able to run the ball so well is being able to sell the run. I mean, just getting Kittle schemed open like this, basically because of the threat of the run. I'm going to show you a still here that exemplifies run sell. Look at these goofies. These three are like, uh, what are the Three Stooges names? Larry, Curly, and Moe. Like they're so worried about the run, and rightfully so, that they don't account for Kittle. They all three run into each other because they're so concerned about the run. And then easy money. Easy money. Oh, they bite so hard. All right. It's time. It's time for the play of the game. Brock Noodle Arm Purdy with the longest pass play of the NFL season. Don't you love to see it? Don't you just love to see it? The guy that we spent talking about and harping on his arm strength for the consistency of like 2.5 months owns the longest passing play in the NFL currently. And I did see I think it was Andrew Pasquini. I haven't done the math. But I think Pasquini said that this was 52 air yards. So this ball Khalil Shakir. Yes, I actually saw that. You're right. 81. So we had it for a little bit. But I mean, let me see if I can get a better look at the route. So let's look at the coverage. One-on-one across the board. And it's like Purdy is looking right first. Safety isn't really biting. He's staying in the middle. But Purdy instantly comes back to Aiyuk. And look at this stack. Like, that's a win for a wide receiver. This leverage of stacking the defender like this, because the defender can't run through you. So even if you slow down, he can't run through your back. So you're already in a this is where you want to be as a wide receiver. And I mean, just look at the difference between BA and this defender and Debo and his defender. They're running the same route. And Aiyuk has a full blown 5 yard head start on this route with separation. And then Purdy just uncorks it and puts it right on the money. Ooh-wee. You love to see it. I was so hyped watching this. I mean, look at the protection up front. You got a 5-man rush, 5-on-5, man coverage across the board. Like it's literally man on man O line, man on man with the wide receivers, with the single high safety. Offensive line does a phenomenal job creating a natural pocket around Brock Purdy. And then Purdy looks to the right and says, Aiyuk. And that ball from the jump was, oh my gosh. And it's out toward the sideline, which allows even more separation for Aiyuk, which is what totally screws up the DB and puts him in the air like this, like, oh, 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 yeah, oh, just a dime. I see we're debating the thing. I haven't done the math, so let's figure it out. So where he hits his back foot. So back foot, I'm gonna say launch. He launches off the 15. Okay. 15. So we've got 10, 20, 30, 40. Okay, so 42. 42 yards. Right? 10, 20, 30, about 42. Okay. I think someone said 42 in the chat as well. So based on, math, not my expertise, so I could have gotten that wrong. This is true. You do pick up yardage by the angle that you're on. That is very true. But that's too much math. That's too much geometry for my brain. Actually, I don't think this is a dumb question because I'm not sure. I don't think that's the case. I think it's from the line of scrimmage. I don't think because I just don't think they measure it from where you hit your back foot. They measure it from line of scrimmage. At least that's my understanding of it. But if we're like really actually looking at it, I like to count from where he actually throws it. Oh, what a beautiful pass. What a beauty. And then the walk in. Phenomenal. CMC doing CMC things. Let's take a look up front, see what we get. Let's see, what's our blocking scheme up front? So we're going to get a seal from BA. Going to get a double to backer for McKivitz and Burford. McKivitz is going to peel. Actually turns into a pass off to Juice. And that's what McCaffrey is reading. So he cuts it back inside. Great job by Spencer Burford to stay on his block. Look at Spencer. I'm telling you, this might have been Spencer's best game of the year. Again, he wasn't perfect on the day, but look at that block. Like this lane opens up because you do actually get some decent push from Brendel and Burford, and he cuts it back inside. It's not bad. I'll take that. I'll take that. But Purdy's got more big plays in him. Oh, here we got again play action sell. When you can get the run game going, this is what makes this team so difficult to stop because when you get them biting on run and you're just playing with Kittle on the backside wide open, that's the element that I think a lot of people don't understand that the 49ers run game hasn't been I think where they want it to be. It hasn't been like awful, but it hasn't been the best. And that really affects play action and play action sells. And in this game, I thought the offensive line was doing a pretty darn good job for the considerable body of work. And that was for like, look at how hard these guys are playing run. This front seven is dedicated to stopping the run. And as a result, they get caught slipping. And that was one of my biggest takeaways of the tape was when the run game was working, they started to bite on all the play action and the 49ers were coming up with some big gains. And then getting Debo wide open. Brock Purdy. So this just looks like a big old coverage bust. Again, run action up front. So you get Feliciano pulling. They're not biting as hard. Brock Purdy steps up. That's easy. Easy money. And if we look at the coverage, someone over here was supposed to pick him up because you can see he passes him off. So someone in this zone didn't do their job. And look at that opening. And Purdy finds him, steps up into the pocket, finds him, puts the ball into the open wide receiver's hands. So honestly, though, as we kind of get to the end, we still got one touchdown left. But Brock is that guy, pal. He's that guy. And I'm fine if you are cautious in wanting to quote unquote crown anyone. No problems with that. But obviously, we also have to deal with people who go to the extremes to try to evaluate and quantify what Brock is. And at this point, if you're on the opposite side of saying Brock is a good quarterback, you're just flat out wrong. And that's just what it comes down to. There's no debating that. We have enough body of work. We have enough of Brock. Does that mean that's all that matters for Brock moving forward? No. Brock's got a lot of football left this season. Brock's got playoffs. He's got a lot of career left. But part of the problem was, oh, well, he had the UCL surgery. We don't know how he's going to bounce back. And we already didn't know what he was. And was it a fluke? Is he, was this just a Cinderella story that we feel good about? Brock's gotten better. Like, he's clearly improved as a quarterback. He's smarter. I think he throws better. I think Brock throws better than he did last year. I really do. And I don't think there's really a huge coincidence that he's almost even throwing better out of the bye when he actually gave his arm a rest. He finally got to rest for the first time since he got the UCL surgery. So I don't think that's a coincidence. He looks fresh. Like, this ball just pops out of his hand. So I think Brock Purdy has absolutely beaten the weak arm allegations to the fullest extent. Oh, I keep missing your thank you for commenting again. I have to go all the way back. I've been locked in. I've been locked in. Cap says, "What I tell you about Tig? Wait until Luter gets his shot. Feel terrible for Huff though. Praying for a strong recovery for him." Yeah, yeah, you did call Tig, and we're waiting to see from Luter. We got to see Luter dress, so that was cool. Um, but yeah, brutal to hear about Talanoa today. Confirmed UCL or ACL tear. He's done for the year. So the 49ers are going to be turning to Jair. And Jair had a hell of a game considering the circumstances. Considering how it started too. Started off a little rough, but he bounced back and made 2 big time plays when it mattered most. And that's what football's all about. Making plays when they matter the most. So Jair did a good job. I think Jair did a quality job of erasing some of the PTSD. At least gave us some confidence that, like, rather than being like, oh, we have an unknown filling in, we're like, okay, well, we just saw him against Mike Evans, and he held up pretty well, all things considered. Big underrated aspect of Brock Purdy's game is his ability to run. I just don't think we give this. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Is it because Brock's a small white dude like that looks like he could be bagging our groceries? Like, is that I think that's the biggest hang up with Brock is that it looks like I could potentially drop my kids off at summer camp and he's like their summer counselor. I think that's really the biggest issue that people have with Brock is they can't get over the eye test. He's not one of these 6'5", 240 pounds, physically imposing, high testing. You know what I mean? Like, we've heard about it before, quarterback face. We've heard Colin Cowherd. Or no, it wasn't Colin Cowherd. It was Mike Florio said he doesn't have a quarterback name. That honestly is starting to feel like what people are hanging on to right now. It's like just weird, weird things that don't matter, but people somehow seemingly make matter. But regardless of it, man, I feel great. If I have to give you my personal takes and my personal thoughts on it, I feel phenomenal. I feel fantastic. I feel, and you guys know, man, like you guys know how I feel about Brock. I've been very honest with my feelings about Brock. You, we could literally pull the receipts. I have every film breakdown. You could go watch every film breakdown of Brock Purdy since he's been in the league because we've broken down every single game. So I'm happy for him. I'm happy for him. Glad he beat the allegations. Did I miss the Kittle stiff arm? Oh, here we go. The Kittle stiffy? That's not nice, George. Again, play action. The bites so hard. Underrated aspect. Purdy throwing around this defender. Kittle got him. Sit down, buddy. Enjoy the turf. Just a nice little slapatizer. Boink. Man, that's got to be so embarrassing. Oh, God. The training camp fiasco. My God. I got called a racist for saying Brock Purdy is a good quarterback. That was a wild time. I will never forget it. I will never forget 2023 training camp. Trey Lance versus Brock Purdy versus Sam Darnold versus Brandon Allen. I'll never forget it. I was called a racist for giving objective football takes because people didn't like the evaluation. So, if so facto, racist. What a time we live in. This particular play by Christian McCaffrey just shows how good he is. All right. So you're going to see they're going to get Trent Williams out in space. Trent Williams has Devin White, and you can see right here Christian McCaffrey gets out ahead of Trent Williams, which puts Trent in a really, really bad spot. And then so he slows down, gets behind Trent. Trent keeps moving, and then he just sits in Trent's hip pocket. And then while he's sitting in Trent's hip pocket, he jukes out number 8 onto his face. Like, this is what an elite running back looks like, man. He's going too fast. Like, oh, I got to slow it down. Then let me just juke this guy out. Let Trent do his work. That's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. Love that. And then you know what I love the most? This right here. Look at this play. Wow, that's a good play. If we got Kyle Shanahan pulling out this play every single game, at the end, I think we're going to win. #analysis. This one, he got creative. Look at the formation, 2 running backs, flanking. Like, is this a tush push? Nah, that's called victory. That's called the victory formation. And I love seeing it right on the logo. Something about victory formation on the logo just feels so right. Something about it. I don't know what it is, man. I don't know what it is. So that's the film, and the film doesn't lie. Shout out Ronnie Bell on that play. He really did a good job on that play. He really held it down. Cakester says the way Brock climbs up in the pocket while keeping his eyes downfield and making big throws is very impressive. A lot of things that Brock does is extremely impressive, but I do agree. Again, his ability to climb through the pocket, keep his eyes downfield, and continue to make throws. That's where, again, the Russell Wilson traits comp came from. Remember, we had that guy get super pressed when I said Brock Purdy's traits remind me of a hybrid Russell Wilson, Drew Brees. And that guy got so pressed that I said that. And what's funny is some of the stats that Brock Purdy had accumulated throughout this year in this game rivals Drew Brees with passer rating. And I just thought that was funny. I was like, oh, look at that. Would you look at that? First quarterback to do that since when? Oh, Drew Brees. Look at that. But that's the thing is Brock has I was talking about this I think on another like video that I made, just like a video that I posted. And I've told you guys this that this year for me was I've told you since training camp that Brock's the guy. I again, I didn't waver, and I told you what I was going to do heading into this training camp. I was a big fan of Trey Lance, and I wanted Trey Lance to succeed. But I also understood that what we saw from Brock Purdy at the end of last year wasn't normal, especially from Mr. Irrelevant standards. So we had ourselves a unique situation heading into this training camp where you had the number 3 overall pick. You have Brock Purdy, who's playing better than Jimmy Garoppolo, and Jimmy Garoppolo was playing some of the best ball we had ever seen him play. And this training camp presented itself with a unique situation. And I said, I'm going into this training camp and I'm going to evaluate what I see. And the reason why I said that is because it is very evident that if you were in the business of engagement farming this training camp, all you had to do was talk about Trey Lance. I mean, you go back to those tweets that were Trey Lance tweets popping off. And again, I literally have nothing against Trey Lance. I wanted Trey Lance to be the starter when we drafted him. I didn't want Jimmy to stick around. But it was very evident to see that, Trey Lance was an engagement gold rush. And that was a conflicting situation for me, considering a big part of my brand that I built covering the San Francisco 49ers is predicated on engagement. Like, that's the name of the game. If you guys aren't familiar with content and being in the content game, the name of the game is engagement, getting people to engage. And you see it with like the Nick Wrights, and you see it with whatever. Like, you're trying to get people to engage, you're trying to get people to interact. That's what drives metrics, and it's what drives reach. And it was very evident to see that anything Trey Lance related was doing numbers. So it was a weird situation for me because I was really trying to be as objective as possible. I was like, I understand that like I could say this and it would generate X number of engagements or retweets or views. But I told you guys at the beginning in the summer, I was like, I want to do this as objectively as possible. Going into this with clean slate for all the quarterbacks, clean slate for Brock, clean slate for Trey, clean slate for Sam. And I went in and I told you, I was like, I don't care about where they were drafted. I don't care about any of it. I'm just going to watch training camp and I'm going to give you my evaluation. And that's exactly what I did. And my evaluation was Brock Purdy was the best quarterback in training camp. And for me, it wasn't, it was by a large margin. And Trey Lance had success in that training camp, I would say. I would say Trey and Sam were pretty close. They were pretty even, to be honest. But I think it was at a point where the 49ers had already made their decision that they were moving on from Trey. We heard, when I was at the combine in Indianapolis, we heard that, rumblings that Trey was potentially being discussed in trades and all those different types of things. So, but went into it with the open, clear mind. And that's the thing. It's like, it's easy to spin narratives and push things and see where the engagement trends are going. But I don't know, man. Like, it's an interesting growth pattern for myself because I've gone viral a bunch of times. I've had posts that have gone crazy and done insane numbers and, posted videos that have 10 million views and all that type of stuff. And it's just like, that's cool. That's cool and all. But I just much rather get it right. I just much rather get it right. And I feel like taking that mentality has kind of at least put me in a good spot with this Brock situation because of trying to evaluate the quarterbacks and where they stand and who was where. And, I feel very confident. I feel very confident in my evaluation. I know you guys know that about myself. You guys know that, like, I think I could evaluate at a very high level. And so I feel like when Brock comes out and plays like this, and continues to show the things and the glimpses that we saw in training camp and continues to build and continues to improve and continues to get better and better. Again, stick to your evaluation, man. We're all trying to evaluate. We're all trying to watch. We're all trying to make sense of it. And we're doing our best. But all I could say is stick true to what you see, even if it's hard. Training camp seems like it was so long ago, dude. Training camp feels like ages ago. 187 says, "You was fair, Brad. That's why I didn't get on you." 187 was like, "Man, if you were acting out of pocket, though, I was coming down your lane." And I get it. I get it. A lot of people want Trey Lance to be successful, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I respect that. What I said was like, you was fair, so I didn't come down your. I wish they were all built like you, 187. Well, I appreciate all you guys, man. I appreciate the comments. Jason says, Brad, I was so upset when all I could find on YouTube was Trey Lance debates. Yeah, that was our driver for a little bit. That was the only thing that was gaining traction. And that's the hard part about being like in our business, like as a content creator, is like that was like in that moment of kind of the Trey Lance Brock era battle in training camp. If you posted about the offensive line or like you posted about the defensive backs. No one cared. No one clicked on it. No one viewed it. They're like, well, okay, Charvarius Ward, but what about Brandon Allen? Like Brandon Allen was getting traction. That's how crazy it was. But that was a good time. Jesse says you've earned the respect from the fan base and players and media. Keep going, Brad. Appreciate you, man. I really do. Appreciate all you guys. We've been through a lot. Cap says you've taught me so much about the details of film, Brad. Real ones know. I appreciate you, Cap. Cap's OG in these parts. The past two off seasons have been hectic. 100%, they've been hectic. Stressful. I had to. That's the only way people would pay attention. I had to put the quarterback at the end. It's the only way I could keep people on my videos. I had to put if I started with the quarterback, they would just drop right off after I got through talking about the quarterbacks. Oh, it feels good though. But the main part about it is it feels good because we're winning. Like it feels good because we got a team. Like that's for me what feels good. Like what feels good about Brock is like I feel secure in Brock. It, you know, for how sus that may sound, like with Jimmy, and I appreciated Jimmy. Like I want to get that across. Like I really liked Jimmy when he got to San Francisco. I mean, that 5-game stretch was magical. I was all in. I was bought in. I said, Tom Brady, kick rocks. We got Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, that's how bought in I was on Jimmy through that 5-game stretch in 2017. Then he tears his ACL. And I went to bat in 2019, just defending Jimmy Garoppolo all year, all season, just because I it was almost similar to Brock because he was coming off a serious injury, and I know how hard it is to come back from a serious injury and play your best ball. Same situation with Brock, kind of in that regard. But then it was like, after the Super Bowl, it was just like, damn, Jimmy just kept letting us down. Like he would do really, really well, get our hopes up, and then it would be like, oh, the dagger, the Jimmy dagger, the Jimmy dagger pick. It was an abusive relationship almost. Perfect. Jimmy was a toxic ex that you kept going back to. It was like a drug because when you got good Jimmy, you're like, see, there's good Jimmy. Like we can go really far with good Jimmy. And then every once in a while, we got bad Jimmy. And it was like this roller coaster ride of like, God, I want Jimmy to be good so bad, but then there's times when he just does not look good and in crucial moments of the game, and you're just like, this is stressful. Like I remember watching the last game he played in for the Raiders this year, and I was like, oh God, that gave me serious flashbacks of the roller coaster ride of Jimmy sometimes. And again, I like Jimmy. I don't not like Jimmy. But then it also was, again, it was just super weird when the 49ers drafted Trey. And then for me, I'm trying to figure out who quarterback 1 is, because a big thing about like just the SF Niners brand in general, the brand is more fun when we have a dedicated quarterback 1. It's just one of the things that I've identified. So when we have an identified quarterback 1, we hype up QB1, we celebrate quarterback 1, whatever. We support quarterback 1 through the lows, through the downs, and we prop them up through the highs. But we ran into that weird situation where it's like Jimmy and Trey, and you're like, you know, that fat kid cookie meme where he's looking at the cookies, he doesn't know which one to eat first. That's kind of what it was like. But I'm just happy that, you know, through that Jimmy experience, like, and through the Trey experience, it does feel like we got our guy. And I think where this whole tangent kind of got started was, I think we found our franchise guy. Like, I really do. I wanted to be patient this year before I said Brock was the franchise guy, because I think he had to earn that a little bit. Maybe it was different inside the locker room. Maybe it was different inside the building with the 49ers. But for me personally, to feel like Brock was the franchise guy, I needed to see him duplicate and improve what he did his rookie season. And that's why, like, right now, I feel pretty confident. Like, obviously, it's really easy to be confident after a crazy statistical output like he just had, about, 21 of 25, 333 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Like, it's really easy to be excited and confident about a performance like that. But again, it's even in the losses. I've talked about those losses plenty. Even in the losses, even in his down periods of time, I'm still like, yeah, he's still the guy. He's still the guy. Um, I think he's franchise. That's where I think we're at. I think we found our guy. And that's why I think this feels good, in my opinion. And again, going through, my long-winded kind of revisionist history of 49ers trying to find a quarterback, the training camp drama, um, the drama into the bye, all that stuff. It feels good because with Brock Purdy, like, I feel secure in his game. I didn't feel secure in Jimmy's game. You know what I mean? Like, I f- I go into every Sunday not worried about my quarterback, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not concerned about Brock. Um, it's kind of the least of my worries. And so that is a good feeling to have as a fan, because we haven't had that as a fan base in a while. You know what I mean? Like, we haven't had that kind of security. And not everyone has it. And I understand, just because I feel that way doesn't mean you have to feel that way. But based on the amount of football that I've watched Brock Purdy play, I cannot sit here and say that I am really concerned about him in the slightest. So, I said that when he lost 3 games in a row. I said he's not my concern. He's not the biggest concern of that 3-game losing stretch. He really wasn't. So, it's a good spot to be in, man. Great spot for the 49ers. Great spot for the fan base, I think. And I think it really energizes the group. I feel like it energized. I mean, stadium's popping, man. When Purdy's balling, Levi's is popping. Um, it's a great time. It's a great time. So I just hope it continues, and I hope we don't slow down. Foot on the gas. So I'm pretty excited about it. Feels good. Feels good to be like, we got a quarterback. We got a quarterback. Love it. So, that being said, We got 2 teams coming up. On Monday Night Football. We got Eagles and Chiefs. I would assume we're all going for the Chiefs. I would love to see the Eagles fall tonight. I would. I'm going to be a little petty. Saw Eagles fans celebrating Huff's injury today. Just reminded me how much I don't like the Eagles or their fan base. So, go Chiefs. Go Chiefs, go. Whatever their slogan is. Whoa. I said it at the beginning of the show. I'm a Swiftie tonight. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But we got a big time matchup. Big time Monday Night Football matchup. So, this one's going to be saucy. It's going to be saucy. Can't wait. What's tomorrow? Tomorrow's Tuesday. Okay? Tuesday means, it's technically Eagles week today, even though I'm just soaking in Victory Monday, or not Eagles week, Seahawks week. But we got to turn the page to Seattle here pretty soon, which is crazy. So, short week, Thanksgiving. Oh, dude, there's so much going on. There's so much going on this week. The Bird Gauntlet begins. We're gonna still do defensive film breakdown tomorrow. So we'll do defensive film breakdown tomorrow. But yeah, man, the Bird Gauntlet kicks off. So, you know what? One of the defining moments for Levi's Stadium at one point was Turkey on the 50 when the 49ers got embarrassed by Seattle on Thanksgiving, and Jed York had to tweet out an apology about it. I hope the roles are reversed. I hope the 49ers go in there, they cook those birds, and then they eat them on the 50, right in the middle of the clink, or whatever they call it now. No, CenturyLink was Philly. Lumens. Turkey on the 50 at Lumens. I saw something about Geno is probably going to play. So I know Geno got dinged up, but I think it's Pete Carroll said it's going to be Geno out there. So we'll see. Let's go. Appreciate everyone tapping in. Grab your cookies on the way out. Appreciate you guys always vibing with the channel, vibing with the shows. Shout out all the OGSDS. Shout out the Mod Squad. We'll be back tomorrow for a film breakdown of the defense performance versus the Bucs. And then we are solely on 49ers versus Seahawks. Battle of the North. So appreciate you guys. As always, smash that like button on the way out. And I will see y'all tomorrow. Hendrick says no cookies for me. I got here late. All good. We'll give you half a cookie. Half a cookie for showing up. But appreciate all you guys. I will see you tomorrow, and we'll do defensive film breakdown. God bless the SDS. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it.